Welcome back to my channel. My name is Blair if you're new here, and today we're going to do a prep for New Year 2023. So I wanted to get this video put together. Some of it I'm going to show you clips I've done of it earlier. Some of it's just going to be things I'm going to do with you. But there are, I think, 6 total things I like to do to prep into a new year. The first thing was to take down Christmas decor and get my house cleaned. There's nothing better than having like a clean slate and having a fresh home right before the holidays and all the decor down. I just find that it really sets the tone for the new year, and I don't feel like there's a ton of work other than projects that I want to do. It's like you can knock out those things you've been dying to do for a while. So that was the first thing I did. I got the decor down, cleaned the house, more of a deep clean. And then the second thing is to print out a 2023 calendar. I usually find something on Pinterest that's free to print. I need this for work because this is how I keep track of my days off and my sales throughout the month. So I printed out a calendar. Third thing I like to do is because my journey for the last few years has been so focused on debt payoff, I've learned over the last couple of years that it works at the end of the year to take a look at your net worth. Because I'm so focused on that debt and that negative thing that I'm trying to get rid of, by focusing on the overall net worth at the end of each year, not only do I get to see the progress that I made, but I get to see that I'm not in a negative place. I'm actually in a positive place. That may not necessarily be true for everybody, but for me, when I did it the first time, I was like, oh, I'm not as bad off as I thought I was. You know, I actually have light at the end of the tunnel here. I'm in a good place despite what I had to pay off. So I like to take a look at that. So I already did most of the legwork on this and got everything set up for this part. So I basically take a look at all of my assets. For me, that's like a 401k, pension, my house value, my car value. And so that's like my asset total. And then I take a look at my debt total, which for me is a mortgage, credit cards, and student loan debt. So I put all this stuff in for the year end. Mind you, this is not truly the year end. There's obviously a few more days for me, but we're just going to kind of work with this. A couple things I want to talk about in my assets. So unfortunately, my 401k started at a higher number than it ended this year. Obviously, the stock market's had a very rough year, so that did kind of drag that number down to a lower amount, even with me contributing to it all year. My pension was fine. My house value went up, which was great. And then my car value obviously decreased, which isn't that unexpected. It's not like I have a brand new car or anything. I definitely have an older car. I'm expecting it to constantly go down. So that was the assets. And then taking a look at the debt. So my mortgage definitely went down with the payments. I did refinance, I think it was last year or the year before. Probably the best thing I could have done, because when I refinanced, it actually put more of my actual mortgage payment towards the principal. So that number has been rapidly dropping for me. Credit cards, I officially paid off all of my credit cards. That is awesome. I no longer have credit card debt. The only thing I still have left is student loan debt, which with all the pauses and freezes and things that have happened with the federal loans, that balance hasn't changed. It's literally just been the same. I did knock out, I think, one student loan completely this year. And then I've been working on my last private loan, which we're going to talk about that. But looking at my overall for the year, I did manage to pay off almost $18,000 worth of debt, which to me is just outstanding. Like, I think last year I only made it to 10. So we're making progress, and I have way less debts than I had the previous year. So that's going to be awesome going into 2023. And then looking at my overall net worth, which I wasn't in the green last year, and of course I'm in the green this year, but my net worth increased almost $34,000. So that's pretty good. I know a lot of that has to do with the balance of the debt payoff with the increase in value to my home, because obviously those other things that were in my asset didn't do so great this year. But that is like outstanding. Like, I'm so thrilled. So that was my like annual review is what I call it. So I'm pretty pleased with that. The fact that I'm in the green, the fact that I paid so much debt off, and the fact that my net worth grew. So that's outstanding. The next thing that I typically do is set up my budget sheet for well, I shouldn't say that. Usually it's a spreadsheet I'm setting up, but we've talked about this earlier in some of my annual reviews. I did purchase a new budget sheet from Etsy. It's from Confident Coin, and honestly, I've used it for the last 3 months just to kind of get my handle on it. And I have found that debt sheet is a lot more functional for me. The only thing it doesn't have is the annual review, but I can do that separate. But I do like it. So I thought I'd show you a little bit of how it kind of comes. And like, I still need to, I guess, officially set this up. I just kind of copied over some of the things from the previous year just so it was already here. But I'm going to show you a little bit of this. So that's kind of what the budget sheet looks like, and I'm going to work on that. But it has been really functional for me. I like that it has a spending tracker, so you can kind of put it in and it pre-fills it into the categories, and I know where I'm at all times in my budget. So that's been really helpful. Okay, so let's talk about goals. I think this will be the last thing we're going to do together. So I want to review last year's goals and then talk a little bit about what goals I'm setting up this year, which I did take some time and kind of figured this stuff out a little bit. So 2022, my goals were, let's talk about them by category. So the first category was financial, and my goal was to pay off my Capital One credit card. I wanted to pay off my Discover student loan, pay off my Discover credit card. I paid off all three. So I knocked all those goals out. And then a couple extra things that I had was to do $2,000 into an emergency fund. I've tried and I've had $1,000 on and off over my debt journey. It's never enough. So I just thought this year I need to get $2,000 in my emergency fund so it's readily available and there's a little bit more. The last thing, this was really on a whim. I didn't think I was actually going to even touch this. I wanted to start on trying to save $5,000 into savings. I was blessed enough to be able to get $10,000 into a savings. I'm calling it my long-term savings or my emergency fund, like my 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which that literally is more than 3 to 6 months. So I am so pleased that I paid all of that off this year, got everything saved above and beyond. So my financial goals were on point. Health and fitness goals. So this may sound really dumb, but one of them was to floss daily. I have always been very bad at flossing. I would do it hit and miss, on and off. It was never consistent. I'm happy to say since January 1st, I think I literally have missed 1 day of flossing, and that was just the other day when I lost power and had to go to a friend's house to get ready for the day, and I totally forgot to bring it. But I have done it every single day since January 1st. So I'm checking that one off. I did it. My other goal was to complete 4 or 5Ks. I did do that. My next goal was more veggies is all I wrote down. I think my goal was to try and drink or eat more veggies. I don't want to say that I necessarily hit it because I know there were days where I literally consumed carbs and protein and that was it. So that goal I'm not going to say I completed. I had this under health and fitness, but one of my goals, and this has been literally on my goals for the last like 3 or 4 years, was to go paddleboarding. I'm sure you guys saw vlogs ago during the summer. A friend and I, we went paddleboarding for the first time ever. I really enjoyed it. I hope to get to do it more frequently. The last thing was to work out 4 days per week. Again, I don't think I was consistent with this. I feel like there were times that I went like a couple weeks because I either wasn't feeling great or I was sore. So then my next category was to do lifestyle. I wanted to have like coffee or a meal with a friend like once a month. I did cross this off, but I don't honestly think it was every single month. The next goal was to read 10 books. I actually ended up doing 11 this year. Then I wanted to upload photos monthly and back up my computer monthly to an external hard drive. I was doing pretty good with the photos, uploading them and getting them off my phone just for storage reasons because I use my phone to record on. And in backing up the computer, I was being very good with, but I don't know what happened to my external hard drive, and now it's not like recognizable on my computer, so I really need to go get that fixed. So I didn't mark this one off because I don't feel like I did it. And in my last category is faith. I wanted to complete 4 Bible studies, which I did do. So those were my 2022 goals. I would say I did pretty good. I only didn't accomplish technically like 4 things on there for the year. I think that's pretty good. And my 2023 goals. So financially, I want to pay off my final student loan, private student loan, not the federal one, but my private one. I want to make sure I keep my sinking funds filled throughout the year. I have them officially filled now, but I know I'm going to start using some of that money towards those expenses that come up for those categories, but I want to be diligent about keeping them filled as much as possible. And then I'd like to try to save $5,000 again this year, just for like long-term savings and situations. For health and fitness, I do want to aim for another 4 or 5Ks. I put down veggies once a day. So like I said, I didn't quite hit this last year. So my thought is I want to have veggies once a day, 1 meal. And then if I'm not having veggies, I want to purchase some of those green powders that you can drink, and do that if I don't have something physically to eat. Workout 4 days a week is what I put down, but really honestly, the whole thought is I need consistency with it. I need to stop having so many breaks. And then I put this down because I like to try one physical type activity. And I've been wanting to do this for a little while, was to take a barre class to do lifestyle. I'm sticking with the same goal for books. I want to read at least 10. I've really been enjoying cooking lately, but I want to open up my repertoire of recipes. So my goal is to have 1 new like cooking recipe every 2 weeks. And then my last thing that I'm putting on here is to move. I will explain more on this later, but that is one of the goals for this year, is to move. Hopefully sooner than later, but we'll see. Faith. So I want to do at least 4 Bible studies again this year. I had put down last year to attend church. I think I went back once. I would like to start physically going more consistently though. I kind of miss the community of people when you go to church versus just watching it online. And then this technically could fall under financial and faith, but I want to be more consistent about my tithing. Vision board is the last thing I typically do. I don't do anything crazy. I don't do anything fancy. I have done a vision board the last few years. So for a vision board, I literally just use Pages, and I will go to Pinterest and I will search out images of things that kind of align to these, or that can mimic the feeling of what I want to achieve with these goals. And then I just lay them into a sheet, and then I can print them out. I'm just gonna show you last year's. I honestly used to think these were really dumb, right? And so I never really did them, or I would make them and then nothing came of it. But over the last few years, I've been making them. And then what I've been doing is just hang them on this board here. This is right next to my work desk. So I see this literally every single day while I'm working, because I will glance at it. And honestly, I think the seeing it all the time kind of keeps those goals in my head all the time. It's not like you thought about it, you wrote it down, and then you forget about it. So by hanging it on the wall like that, I see it all the time. It's a constant reminder, hey, you set these goals. These are the things you want to achieve. And it motivates me to keep going and get those things done. I mean, I can't tell you how many times this last year I saw that paddleboarding photo on there, and I was like, I want to go paddleboarding. I want to go paddleboarding. And it was constantly in my mind for like probably about 2 weeks. And then finally I messaged my friend and I was like, do you want to do this? Like, I've been wanting to go do this for years. Do you want to do it with me? And she said, yeah. So we did it. And now I can finally check it off the list. So that's why I do make the vision board. It just, brings it to the forefront. It's not like my goals are forgotten. They are visible. I do see them all the time. So I will finish out getting that made and printed and hung for this year's goals. But like I said, I think I did really well for last year. I only missed like 4 things yeah, 4 things out of all my goals from last year that I didn't achieve. That was pretty good. But this is how I kind of prep for the new year. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe this inspired you to do some of these things for yourself. As always, I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope everybody has a happy, healthy, safe new year. And as always, a blessed day as well.